Speak English anyway, a place where confidence matters more than perfection, and every voice deserves to be heard.
Hey people, I'm Linda.
And I'm Ethan. Briefly.
Briefly. Okay, today we are talking about something that I genuinely believe is responsible for more pain in the English learning journey than any grammar rule, any difficult word, any embarrassing moment.
More than the bake sale?
More than the bake sale. And that is saying something. We are talking about comparison. The moment you look at another English learner, someone at a similar stage, someone who started around the same time as you, and you think, why do they sound so much better than me?
The great question that leads absolutely nowhere useful.
Absolutely nowhere. And yet, we all go there. Constantly, with enthusiasm, almost competitively, as if being the best at feeling bad about our English is itself an achievement.
A gold medal in self-comparison. Very prestigious.
Very prestigious. Okay, so let me tell you about a specific moment, a real one. I was in an English class, evening class, group of maybe 12 people, and there was a woman in the class. Lovely person, genuinely lovely, who had started at exactly the same level as me. Same test score, same intake, same starting point.
Same starting point. The comparison conditions are already perfect.
Textbook conditions. And after about 3 months, I noticed that she was speaking so much more fluidly than me. She was making jokes in English. She was using expressions I had never heard. She sounded comfortable. And I sounded like someone trying very hard to sound comfortable, but not quite getting there.
The effort was audible.
The effort was very audible. And I remember sitting there one evening, watching her speak and thinking, we started at the same place. We have been here the same amount of time, so why does her English sound like that and mine sound like this?
And what did you do with that thought?
I did the absolute worst thing you can do with that thought.
Which is?
I fed it. Every class, I watched her more. I compared more. I started to feel like no matter what I did, it wasn't enough. And slowly, very slowly, I started participating less, speaking less, trying less, because trying and still being behind felt worse than not trying at all.
Oh, that is the real damage of comparison. It does not just make you feel bad, it makes you stop.
It makes you stop. And stopping is the one thing that guarantees you will never catch up. It is a very elegant trap.
Comparison. The trap that feels like motivation, but is actually the opposite.
Exactly. It looks like it should push you forward. She is better. I should work harder. But it almost never does that. It almost always does the opposite.
It paralyzes, or it discourages, or it makes you perform for the wrong reasons. Not to grow, but to beat someone.
Not to grow, but to beat someone. And when you're learning for that reason, the moment you fall behind, the whole motivation collapses because the goal was comparison, not growth. And comparison is exhausting to maintain.
Especially since the other person has no idea they're in a race.
That is the darkest part. They're just living their life, learning their English, completely unaware that they're starring in your internal drama as the villain.
Playing the villain without even auditioning for the role.
Without even auditioning. And I think about that woman from my class now, and I realize I had no idea what her life looked like outside the classroom. I didn't know that she had lived in an English-speaking country for 6 months before the class. I didn't know that her partner was a native speaker. I didn't know that she spent 3 hours a day immersed in English for reasons completely unrelated to studying.
You were comparing your behind the scenes to her highlight reel.
Say that again.
You were comparing your behind the scenes, all the struggles, all the slow days, all the confusion, to her highlight reel, the polished version she presented in class, without knowing anything about what was happening behind it.
That is exactly it. And it is so obvious when you say it out loud. Of course I did not know her full picture. Of course she had context and advantages I could not see. But in the moment, in the feeling of comparison, none of that matters. The brain just sees, she is better, I am worse, end of story.
The brain is very bad at nuance when it is busy feeling inadequate.
Terrible at nuance, the worst. Okay, so I want to talk about why comparison is fundamentally unfair to yourself. Not just unhelpful, genuinely, structurally unfair.
Structurally unfair. Go on.
Every person learning English is working with a completely different set of conditions, different first language, and some first languages are much closer to English than others, different amount of daily exposure, different life circumstances, different learning history, different brain, different available time, different emotional relationship with risk and mistakes.
Different everything.
Different everything. And then you take two people from this completely unique set of individual conditions and you say, why are they faster? Why am I slower? As if those two people were identical machines running the same program. They are not. Nobody is.
You cannot compare two plants that grew in different soil with different amounts of sun, watered by different people, and ask why one is taller. It is not a meaningful question.
It is not a meaningful question, and yet we ask it about ourselves constantly, every day, with tremendous energy.
Enormous energy that could have gone toward literally any other thing.
Any other thing, including actually practicing English, which is the thing that would actually help.
Radical idea.
Very radical. Okay, so what do you do instead? Because I know telling people don't compare is about as useful as telling people don't think about a pink elephant.
Immediately, pink elephant.
Every time, see? Useless instruction. So instead of don't compare, let's talk about what actually works. First thing, compete with yesterday's version of yourself instead.
Yesterday's you. The only fair opponent.
The only fair opponent, because yesterday's you had the exact same conditions as today's you. Same first language, same history, same life, same brain. And the question becomes, am I better than I was yesterday, last week, last month?
And the answer to that question, when you actually look, is almost always yes. Something has shifted, something has grown, even if it is small, even if it is invisible to everyone else. You know.
You know, and that knowledge is enough. That knowledge is actually more powerful than any external comparison because it belongs entirely to you. Nobody can take it. Nobody else's progress affects it.
It is yours. Completely yours.
Second thing, get curious about other people's journeys instead of threatened by them. Because the woman in my class who was so much more fluent, I eventually talked to her. I told her that I had been watching her with a mixture of admiration and quiet despair.
You told her that?
I told her that, and she laughed. And then she told me about the 6 months she had spent abroad, about her partner, about all the context I had not known. And suddenly, she was not a threat, she was a map.
A map?
A map of what is possible, of what exposure and practice over time actually looks like. And instead of feeling worse about where I was, I felt curious about how to get where she was.
Curiosity instead of inadequacy. Same person, same information, completely different feeling.
Completely different feeling and a completely different effect on your motivation. Inadequacy makes you smaller. Curiosity makes you want to explore.
Curiosity is the better emotion for learning. Full stop.
Full stop. Third thing, remember that fluency is not a race. There is no finish line where someone wins and everyone else loses. There is no trophy for reaching B2 before someone else. The goal is communication. The goal is connection. The goal is being able to live your life in English in the way you want to. And that goal is personal. It has nothing to do with anyone else's timeline.
Nothing to do with anyone else's timeline. And this is so important because I think a lot of people have internalized the idea that language learning is a competition, maybe from school, where tests created rankings, where being better than classmates was the visible measure of success.
School did a lot of damage in this area, honestly.
A significant amount of damage. But language learning in real life is not school. There are no rankings. There is no class position. There is only, can you communicate what you want to communicate? Can you connect with the people you want to connect with? Can you do the things in English that you want to be able to do?
And those questions have nothing to do with anyone else. Nothing.
Nothing at all. Fourth thing, and this is my favorite because it is very practical.
Ethan has a practical tip. Everyone pay attention.
I occasionally have practical tips. When someone else's progress makes you feel bad, use it as fuel instead of poison.
Fuel instead of poison. Explain.
Poison says, they are better, I am worse, what is the point? Fuel says, they are further along, that means further along is possible. How did they get there? What can I learn from their journey? One drains you, one energizes you.
Same trigger, completely different direction.
Same trigger, you choose the direction. And choosing fuel over poison is a habit. You train it. Every time comparison arrives, and it will arrive, you redirect. Not deny, redirect.
Redirect. That is such a good word for it. Because you cannot stop the comparison from appearing. The brain does it automatically. But you can redirect what you do with it.
You can redirect, always.
And fifth thing, celebrate other people's progress genuinely, not performatively, not through gritted teeth, actually, genuinely.
That sounds very hard.
It is hard at first, but here's why it works. When you genuinely celebrate someone else's English progress, something shifts. You are no longer in competition with them. You are on the same team. And being on the same team feels completely different from being in a race nobody else knew they were in.
A race nobody else knew they were in. I want that on a poster.
I will make the poster. Okay, word tour time.
First word, comparison.
Comparison means measuring one thing against another, looking at the differences between two things to see how they relate. In today's context, comparing your English to someone else's.
For example, comparison is natural but rarely useful in language learning. Or, she spent more energy on comparison than on actual practice, and it showed.
Comparison. Repeat. Comparison.
Comparison. Next, paralyze.
To paralyze means to make someone unable to move or act, to stop all progress through overwhelming fear or discouragement.
For example, comparison paralyzed her. She stopped speaking because being behind felt worse than not trying. Or, fear can paralyze more effectively than any obstacle.
Paralyze. Repeat. Paralyze.
Paralyze. Next, inadequate.
Inadequate means not good enough, feeling like you don't measure up to a standard or to someone else.
For example, comparing herself to more fluent learners made her feel inadequate even though she was making real progress. Or, inadequacy is a feeling, not a fact.
Inadequate. Repeat. Inadequate.
Inadequate. Next, curiosity.
Curiosity means a strong desire to know or learn something, an open, exploratory interest, rather than a threatened or competitive one.
For example, replace inadequacy with curiosity. Ask how they got there instead of why you aren't there yet. Or, curiosity is the emotion that drives the best learning.
Curiosity. Repeat. Curiosity.
Curiosity. Next, redirect.
To redirect means to change the direction of something, to send it somewhere different than where it was heading.
For example, when comparison arrives, redirect it into fuel instead of poison. Or, you cannot always stop a thought from appearing, but you can always redirect what you do with it.
Redirect. Repeat. Redirect.
Redirect. Next, solidarity.
Solidarity means standing together with others who share the same experience, mutual support, and shared feeling within a group.
For example, language learners are on the same team. Solidarity beats competition every time. Or, celebrating others creates solidarity, and solidarity makes the journey less lonely.
Solidarity. Repeat, solidarity.
Solidarity. And last one, internalize.
Internalize means to absorb something so deeply that it becomes part of how you think and act, a belief or habit that feels natural rather than imposed.
For example, she had internalized the idea that learning was a competition, and it took time to unlearn. Or, once you internalize that your only competition is yesterday's version of yourself, everything gets easier.
Internalize. Repeat, internalize.
Internalize. 3 actions.
Action 1. This week, when you notice yourself comparing your English to someone else's, write down one thing you can do better now than you could 6 months ago. Just one. Redirect the comparison to your own timeline.
Action 2. Find one English learner whose progress you admire, and instead of feeling bad about it, get curious. Ask them about their journey. What did they do? What helped them? Turn the threat into a map.
Action 3. Celebrate one person's English progress this week. A comment, a message, your English is really improving. Genuine and specific. Notice how it feels to be on the same team.
Notice how it feels. Quick recap.
Big idea 1. Comparison is a trap that looks like motivation, but almost always paralyzes instead of propels.
Big idea 2. You are comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. You never have the full picture. It is structurally unfair to yourself.
Big idea 3. The only fair opponent is yesterday's version of you. That is the only comparison that actually means something.
Big idea 4. Replace inadequacy with curiosity. Other people's progress is a map of what is possible, not a verdict on what you are.
And big idea 5. Solidarity beats competition. Celebrate others genuinely. You are all on the same team doing the same brave thing.
The same brave thing. Every single one of you. Okay, question for the comments. Who have you been secretly comparing yourself to? You do not have to name them, but tell us, how did it make you feel, and what are you going to do differently?
We want to hear. Take care of your English.
And take care of your heart.
This is Linda.
And this is Ethan. You've been listening to Speak English Anyway.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. And remember, their English is not your business. Yours is.